The king is dead, long live the king. NVIDIA's GeForce RTX 3080 sports the new and improved Ampere architecture. It's over 30% faster than the previous Gen 2080 Ti, for $500 less. If you're serious about maxing out all the graphics settings and you want to play at 4K or 1440p, this is the card to get. It's mostly overkill for 1080p gaming, though enabling all ray tracing effects in games that support the feature makes 1080p still reasonable. If you skip the first round of RTX GPUs, the RTX 30 series might finally get you on board the ray tracing train. With potentially double the ray tracing performance of Turing, and games like Cyberpunk 2077, using even more ray tracing effects, the RTX 3080 is your best bet at playing games in all their ray traced glory without nuking the piggy bank. Ampere also brings improved tensor cores for DLSS, a technology we're bound to see more of in future games, now that it doesn't require per-game training by a supercomputer. We're seeing a lot more games with DLSS 2.0 these days, helped by the fact that it's basically a toggle in UI update to get it working in Unreal Engine. NVIDIA's RT and DLSS performance are also quite a bit faster than what you get from AMD's new RX 6000 cards, which is a good thing as NVIDIA sometimes falls behind in traditional rasterization performance, which is what our raw numbers are based on. The biggest problem with RTX 3080 by far is going to be finding one in stock. NVIDIA says it expects the shortages to continue until at least January 2021, which makes sense. After seeing the unprecedented demand in September, it's basically a 5 to 6 month wait to get more wafers going at Samsung, and then getting those GPUs into actual cards on shelves. GPU. Ampere, GA102 GPU cores. 8704, boost clock. 1710 MHz video RAM. 10 GB, GDDR6X 19 GB PSTDP. 320 watts excellent performance reasonably priced. AMD's Radeon RX 6800 XT is the best card for Team Red. The RX Radeon 6900 XT is technically about 5 to 7% faster, but it costs 54% more. That's not a great deal at all, especially since you don't get more RAM or any other extras. The RX 6800 XT provides a massive boost in performance and features relative to the previous generation RX 5700 XT. It adds ray tracing support via DirectX Ray Tracing or Vulkaner, and is 70 to 90% faster across our test suite. The GPU was affectionately dubbed Big Navi prior to launch by the enthusiast community, and we got exactly what we wanted. Navi 21 is over twice the size of Navi 10, with twice the shader cores and twice the RAM. Clock speeds are also boosted into the 2.1-2.3 GHz range, depending on the card model, the highest clocks we've ever seen from a reference GPU by about 300 MHz. And AMD did all this without substantially increasing power requirements. The RX 6800 XT has a 300 WTDP, slightly lower than the RTX 3080's 320 WTDP. A big part of AMD's performance comes thanks to the massive 128 MB Infinity Cache. It improves the effective bandwidth by 119%, according to AMD. We're confident that few if any games in the coming years are going to need more than 16 GB, so the 6800 XT is in a great position in that area. What's not like? Well, the ray tracing performance is a bit mediocre. Maybe it's because current games are more likely to be optimized for NVIDIA's RTX GPUs, but overall, the 6800 XT is just barely ahead of the RTX 3070 in ray tracing performance, and there are several games where it falls behind by up to 25%. And that's without turning on DLSS, which even in quality mode, can improve performance of RTX cards by 20 to 40%, sometimes more. AMD is working on Fidelity Super Resolution to compete with DLSS, but it's not here yet, and it's very much needed. GPU. Navi 21 XT GPU cores. 4608, boost clock. 2250 MHz video RAM. 16 GB, GDDR6 16 GB PSTDP. 300 watts. New RDNA 2 architecture provides excellent performance, beats 3080 in rasterization games. For some, the best card is the fastest card, pricing be damned. NVIDIA's GeForce RTX 3090 caters to this category of user. At more than double the price of the RTX 3080, performance is only moderately better, 10 to 15%, in most workloads. It's basically a replacement for the Titan RTX, at a still extreme price. The RTX 3090 is likely to reign as NVIDIA's top GPU for a while as well. It sports nearly a complete GA102 chip, based off the Ampere architecture, so there's not really room for a new Titan card. Nvidia has said as much as well, that the 3090 brings Titan-class performance and features, specifically the 24GB of RAM, into the GeForce brand. If you simply must have the fastest graphics card available, that's the RTX 3090. It's not just about gaming, of course. The RTX 3090 is the only GeForce Ampere with NVLink support, which is arguably more useful for professional apps and GPU compute than SLI. The 24GB of GDDR6X memory is also helpful in a variety of content creation applications. Blender, for example, frequently showed 30% higher performance compared to the 3080, and over twice the performance of the Titan RTX. Just watch out for lower than expected performance in some of the Spectacor 13 apps, where Titan RTX has additional features turned on in its drivers that aren't enabled for GeForce cards. AMD's RX 6900 XT challenges the RTX 3090, and in traditional rasterization it's competitive. It also gets some wins in a few Spectacor tests. But if you want the absolute fastest graphics card right now, Nvidia wins, especially if you run games with ray tracing and DLSS enabled. GPU Ampere GA102 GPU cores, 10496 boost clock, 1695 MHz video RAM, 24GB GDDR6X 19.5GB PSTDP, 350 watts fastest GPU, PERIOD 4K, and maybe even 8K GAMING. 24GB is great for content creation workloads to 30% faster than 3080 in professional apps, over twice the cost of 3080 for 10 to 15% more performance, extremely limited availability for no high power requirements. Titan price without Titan enhancements. The most recent addition to Nvidia's Ampere lineup might just be the best of the bunch. The GeForce RTX 3060 Ti has all the same features as the other 30 series GPUs, with a starting price of just $399. In theory, of course, as it naturally sold out just as quickly as all the other new graphics cards. The 3060 Ti ends up beating the previous Gen 2080 Super in performance, winning every test we ran. It's also only about 9% slower than the 3070, but costs 20% less. If you're still sitting on a GTX series or similar GPU, like a GTX 1070 or RX Vega 56, the 3060 Ti is up to twice as fast, sometimes even more. In the latest games. The only real concern is the lack of RAM. 8GB is enough for now, but some games are starting to push beyond that threshold. Of course, you can drop the texture quality a notch, and you might not even notice the difference, but deep down inside you'll feel regret. Not really high settings often look indistinguishable from ultra settings. Until AMD releases its next round of RDNA 2 cards, which should happen in early 2021, there's nothing else that can challenge the 3060 Ti at anything close to the $399 price point. It's 35 to 45% faster than the 2060 Super, and 25 to 30% faster than the RX 5700 XT, all for the same nominal asking price. GPU Ampere GA104 GPU cores, 4864 boost clock, 1665 MHz video RAM, 8GB GDDR6 14GB PSTDP, 200 watts. Check Amazon beats the 2080 Super for $300 less. Best overall value. FPS great for RT at 1440p, with DLSS also sold OUT4. The GeForce RTX 3070 is the third Nvidia Ampere GPU, and it continues the march of next-gen architectures. It's a sizable step down from the 3080, and has less than half the RAM of AMD's RX 6800 series cards. However, the 3070 also costs less than AMD's new cards, and still has generally superior ray tracing performance, plus DLSS. It's too bad all of the 3070 cards also sold out within minutes, but more are on the way, and will likely continue to sell out for quite some time. With the 3060 Ti now here at the $400 price point, the 3070 isn't quite so endearing. It's about 10 to 12% faster, but costs 25% more. Of course, if you factor in the rest of your gaming PC, that extra $100 probably isn't too big of a problem. For new gaming PC builds, you shouldn't buy anything right now that costs $300 or more, unless it's sporting an Ampere Big Navi GPU. Especially at current shortage-induced prices. We do have some reservations. However, while 1440p and 4K gaming are totally possible, 4K at maximum quality often drops below 60 FPS. DLSS can fix that, if a game supports it, but ray tracing even with DLSS often means 40 to 50 FPS of 4K. We're also a bit concerned with the 8GB of GDDR6. Not only is that less memory on a narrower bus than the 3080, but it's clocked quite a bit lower. We've already encountered a few games where 8GB starts to be a bit limiting at maximum quality, and that's only going to get worse in the future. AMD's choice to put 16GB on its Navi 21 GPUs makes Nvidia's 8GB look even worse. If you want a fast Nvidia GPU for the lowest price possible, the 3060 Ti gets the nod. If you can fork over an extra $100, the 3070 is a reasonable upgrade. AMD may have lower tier Navi 2X parts in the near future that provide more competition for the 3070, but if you've always wanted 2080 performance but couldn't justify the cost, the price of entry has been slashed in half. GPU. Ampere, GA104 GPU cores. 5888 boost clock. 1730 MHz video RAM. 8 GB, GDDR6 14 GB PSTDP. 220 WATTS 2080 performance at half the cost. All the Ampere enhancements